Alright, I got the carburetor nice and clean. It'll focus. Got the intake tube nice and clean. Got a new piece of fuel line. Got the gas tank drained out. Next thing will be see if I can patch that up. So that'll probably be tomorrow because I'm about out of time today. And we will continue on and get this thing going again. Alright, I got this air filter housing I need to fix. That's broke and it's bent. I need to possibly pretty flat now. This metal is awful thin. I don't think it'd be worth, or my welder would probably just burn right through it. Wonder if I can get another piece of metal, make like a great big giant washer. Just JB weld the thing on there and seal that all up good. Let me look and see if I got any metal. Well, I found this piece of metal. I think this will work. Outside, then I'll have to go around that, but we'll give her a try. That'll work. Stick her on there like that. JB weld that thing on there. I think that'll work perfect. Get that sanded down, sand off some of this rust so the JB weld will stick. That'll be good. That ought to work. Squeeze out some globs, mix them up. That ought to work. We'll let that cure and then we'll stick her on there. Alright, let's get this air cleaner put on here. It's all sealed up pretty good, I believe. That looks better. I can unwind it and clean the threads up. Go. Got the new fuel line put on, the fuel filter. The next thing I want to do is see if I can take some sandpaper and smooth off some of that rust that's on the clutch. Otherwise that's going to eat the belt up pretty good. So we'll do that next. Give it a gas and it bogs out, and it slowly picks up. And to get to the adjustments thing on the carburetors, like right here where it's underneath the starter, almost impossible to reach. That's what I'm thinking. I know I can get a brand new carburetor for like 30 bucks on eBay. That might be what I'll do. Because when I cleaned it, those diaphragms are a little hard. clear to the floor and it's hardly moving. Of course, half of that is that drive belt that's loose. The other half's the carburetor that's not working right, so get a new drive belt and a new carburetor. I bet you that will solve the problem. But hey, at least it runs. That's the main thing I was wanting to find out about. I'm going to go backwards in this rod. We're here. Yeah, definitely going to have to get a new drive belt. That is no good. And I might as well just go ahead and get a new carburetor, because I can get one off of eBay for around 30 bucks. So that's probably what I'll do. Alright, I wanted to check the compression on the engine, but I don't have a gauge, so I just took the spark plug out and put my thumb over here. And to me, it feels like there's not a whole lot, and that might be the reason why it's running the way it is, and it's not the carburetor. So anyway, I'm going to take the head off and see if I can take a look at the cylinder and the piston, if it's scored, if that's what's causing the problem or not. I went ahead and got the head bolts all loosened. There's 4 of them. And I'm ready to pull this off now and take a look at what's going on with it. And what in the heck? There's no head gasket, and somebody's put this RTV silicone crap on here to try to seal it up. I'm pretty sure that's just part of the head, it's not a gasket. The top of the piston's clean anyway. Oh wow, that's not supposed to be like that. That's got way too much play in it, I can tell. The cylinder, I don't feel any scratches. There's a little bit of one right there. Nothing that my fingernail is catching on to. But one thing's for sure, that piston, there's way too much of a gap on the sidewall. Bring it up more like that, you can get a better view of it, maybe. Way too much play. Way too much. Wonder if the connecting rod feels okay. feel like there's any play in that. Well, it looks like I'll be having to get a new piston and rings and a head gasket. I need to measure the cylinder to see if it's still within specs, or if it has been bored out before. And usually the piston will have a mark if it's been bored or not. Let me scrape some of this off and see if there's any markings on the piston showing what if it's still standard or if it's been bored or what. Bring it right back. Alright, I got a little bit of sanding done. Might be able to see now. But anyway, there's a B. Down here it says EX for, that'd be exhaust, because it's pointing towards the exhaust. And you got, looks like it says STD, which should probably be standard. I'm guessing that's a 4.7, like a 47 millimeter, I'm thinking. I don't know. But that's the only markings that I see on the piston, other than marks from other stuff. So I think, just to make sure, I'm going to take the cylinder off and measure the bore, and then measure the piston. Hopefully the piston is just worn out, that's why it's like that, and this cylinder is still within specs on the standard. But let me get the cylinder removed and I'll bring it back. Got it pulled off. Got some broken piston rings. The two top ones, they're gone. Got a big mark on the side right there. This piston done for. At least the cylinder looks good. And at least it does have a base gasket on it. More silicone for the exhaust. So I need to measure this. To see what it is. I just got the surface of the head cleaned up. Just used a piece of glass with sandpaper glued to it. Set it on here. Rub it around like that until you get it nice and shiny all the way around. So this surface is good now. I'll clean up all the carbon that's still built on it. That's good. Do the same thing with the surface of the cylinder. I can't do this one, so I'll just have to take a sanding block and lightly get that. But otherwise you can do it this way. And spin it every now and then so it gets nice and uniform. You can see it's starting to take off the high spots. The dark is still got some low spots in it. You do this enough and you'll get nice and shiny. Well, I decided to go ahead and pull the motor off. There's something else wrong with it that I noticed, and it's going to be easier to fix it on the bench. And when I was taking it off, of course you got the 4 bolts. This rubber mount completely destroyed, and that was not fun getting the nut off. So I'll have to fix that somehow. And up here on the bench is the motor. Let me see if I can get this sit here and I'll show you what's going on with it. There's a lot of play in the back and forth. I don't know if you can see the connecting rod. But anyway, I'm going to take the cover off, get the flywheel off, and I think there's a thrust washer behind the flywheel that controls that. I'm not sure. And I think that's what the problem is. So in order to do that, it's just easier just to pull the motor off. Because in order to get the cover off, there's bolts here on the back, or screws, which there's no way I could get to it with it on the Alright, well, the battery died on me, and I went ahead and kept working while the battery was charging. I don't remember exactly where I left off at. However, I was able to get the flywheel removed, and I believe you was noticing that there was some play in the crank going back and forth this way. Well, it turns out underneath the flywheel on the crankshaft there is a one of them, I can't remember what it's called now, but it springs apart and you can pull it off. It's a little clip thing. Well, between that and the bearing there's supposed to have been a spacer washer for the clearance. That washer was missing. I looked around in my stash over there and I just so happened to have one. Actually, I had 2 of them, but I only needed one of them to take up the space. Got that put on, put the little clip back on, and now the clearance is perfect. Got the flywheel cleaned up, got it put back on, got the cover cleaned up, got this put back on, and what else did I do? I think that was all I did. So anyway, I've got a new piston ordered. There's different kinds that you can get, anywhere from standard all the way up to 60 over. But according to the cylinder I've got here with my calipers, I measured. My calipers. Right now, this one is just a little over standard size. So I've went ahead and ordered a 30 over piston. That way, let's see if I can show it here, if it'll show up. That way when this gets bored, right there's a score mark. If you can, right there on the cylinder. That's the only mark other than that right there. Otherwise, the rest of the cylinder, it's got a small ridge right along there. I think this down here is just some, I guess it's marked down there too. But anyway, those marks are small enough that once you give this thing a 30 over bore and then a hone, it'll be perfect. So that's what I've got ordered, a new piston and piston rings that are 30 over. And the new piston also comes with a new piston ring or pin. This is the old piston. The bottom ring is still there, but you see the other two rings are gone. That's got a chunk missing out of it, big score mark. Anyway, this is no good anymore. I cleaned up the head a little bit. I still need to give it a real good cleaning. This surface is nice and flat now. I measured that. Oh, what else? I think that's about all I've done. Just gotta wait for the new piston to come in. Oh, and I got a new base gasket ordered. That's coming in. And I found out, which seems weird to me, but from factory, when these are new, Harley did not use a head gasket. They just had these surfaces machined, and they just put them together like that. It does look like there's a groove here that you could put an O-ring on, but from what I've read, these did not come with head gaskets from the factory. You can buy head gaskets, which I did, because it kind of is a kit that comes with the base gasket and a head gasket, and it also comes with the new exhaust gasket. The problem with putting a gasket on is it's going to lower the compression ratio because the head's going to be a little bit higher. So maybe that's why, I don't know. However, there's a lot of room here. When I get the cylinder bored out, I'm going to check and see if they can machine this down the thickness of the gasket so that it would stay the same. I don't know, we'll find out. Oh, and I've also got a new bearing for the connecting rod, because I think that's just a little bit too much play. I mean, up and down, it moves just a little bit. So I'm thinking the bearings are probably worn out. They're like a new bearing. What was that? That was like $15. So I just went ahead and got a new bearing that's coming. I'm going to replace that along with the piston. Everything else is good. There's no play at all back and forth that way. There's some this way, which are supposed to be. So once those parts come in, I'll get the engine put back together. In the meantime, so I guess while I'm waiting on that, I'll go ahead and get all this dirt cleaned off of here. This mounting pad, that's got to get replaced. I got to do something with that. I did a quick search. I haven't been able to find any of these mounting brackets or isolators. They're rubber. I might be able to just take some thick rubber and make my own. Oh, and I've also got a new drive belt coming because that one's stretched way too much. But I guess I can get this all cleaned up while I'm waiting for the parts to come in, and then we'll continue on.